Good evening, everyone. Okay. Thank you to St. Martin's Historic Church for letting me be here. I was asked to read a few poems, so I'm going to read about four. The first one is called Meditation at Griffey Lake. Seated on a bank wet with dew, we watch the orange ball of sunrise break through limbs of northern catalpas. With folded legs and half-closed eyes, we bowed our heads toward water's edge as if before us sat a lake of fine wine from which we could sip. Seated still as herons and with backs straight as bamboo, our breath began rising and falling like old fishermen standing in wooden boats. So the next one I'm going to do is a poem I wrote about my grandfather, well, kind of about my grandfather. It's called Samsara. If you're not familiar with that term, it's used a lot in Buddhism and Hinduism, and often refers to cyclic existence, being born over and over again. Samsara. Sitting in a coffee shop in India, I glanced through a window and saw a thin-skinned cow munching on grass that peeked through the crack of a city sidewalk. I was immediately convinced this was my reincarnated grandfather, a man who lived his entire life feeding and tending to cattle in Indiana. No irony existed in his mind when in a single breath he remarked that he loved those cows even more than his wife, Doris, and that his job was to beef them up just before the sale, the slaughter. But here I sit in a silk sherwani, sipping tea and staring at a solo cow whose ribs show through its skin just like his after a worn heart tried to put in for early retirement. This cow who, although she wears no Western boots, does not chew tobacco, nor sport a 12-gallon hat, does appear lost within a city, enveloped in a cycle of suffering and in constant search of a temple. So I'm going to do one. I didn't plan on doing this one, but when I found out I don't really have poems, maybe, that are explicitly about faith, so I had written this poem and I thought maybe this one usually describes the ambivalence of my faith pretty well. This one's called Screened In Deck. Today, I find it impossible to deny that cobwebs are spun in the corner, that the latch on the door beckons, that my spirit feels like the garden hose in winter, coiled and closed in a box. I want to reach up and smack the wind chimes that dangle motionless from a hook, feel the onslaught of the sun's rays peeking through pear trees, dance among the explosion of colors I witness each morning by way of the feeder, the lemon yellow figure of the finch, the black bird wings banded in red, or the blue and white body of the immaculate jay. I want to scurry behind the squirrel who walks a tightrope along a telephone wire, or roll my skin in soil and grass like a lab without a leash. Oh, how I long to be a part of the world. But for now, I will remain locked in my screen cage, my pens resting on a small table, steam slowly rising from the rim of my cup, my whiskered friend napping on the warm wood, his water bowl a few feet beside him. One more. So, as far as faith is concerned, my journey in that has been changed through having a daughter who's almost 4 years old now. If you were here yesterday, I guess she's the same daughter that told the congregation that her daddy snores very, very loud. That would be me. So this is a poem I wrote about her when she was very, very young. It's entitled My Buddhist Lessons. 5 months old, my daughter teaches me how to be Buddhist. Her sleep sack is a simple robe, her bottle a begging bowl. A semi-bald head and verbal silence serve as outward signs of her inner refuge. Place a crayon in her hand and she marks the page in Sanskrit. Sit her on a mandala patterned playmat and she mumbles mantras to a sangha of taggy toys. When she wants to teach me about desire, she lunges for a stuffed tiger. To instruct how desire leads to grasping, she takes the tiger and clutches him to her chest. To teach how grasping leads to suffering, she shakes him and begins to cry. And to impart the lesson that liberation comes through non-attachment, she throws him to the floor and squeals in joy. Her compassionate nature even allows me to accumulate merit. Change me, hold me, feed me. And at night, her screams ring out like tiny bells to remind me that the purpose of my life is to awaken. Thank you very much.